Houdini, one of history's greatest magicians, was truly a master of illusions. Known for his sensational escape acts, he was also an actor, a keen aviator, amateur historian, and a businessman. Hello and welcome back, and today we're gonna figure out the secrets behind Houdini's greatest magic tricks. So, let's get started. At number 7, the hanging straitjacket escape. The great Houdini usually performed this trick on the streets in presence of a large crowd. It was one of Houdini's most popular publicity stunts, where he would strap himself into a regulation straitjacket and suspended by his ankles. A huge crane would then lift him up from a tall building so that the audience could see what he did, thus convincing everyone that there was no trick to the feat. Houdini would then make his magical escape in full view of the assembled crowd. So, how did he do it? Well, here's the secret. The Houdini death escape is one of the hardest and most dangerous stunts for any magician to perform. Starting from when he was hoisted up in the air by the crane to when the straitjacket was completely off, it took him around 2 minutes and 37 seconds to escape. Now this trick involves some deception as well. However, the key part is to acquire some slack inside the jacket while it was strapped on. As the jacket slid onto his arms, Houdini made sure his arms were crossed and not folded across his chest, with his stronger right arm held in a stiff position on top. Now, once the jacket was buckled at the back, Houdini took a huge breath to expand his chest, giving him enough slack to eventually escape. But still, to perfect this act, Houdini had to practice it for years. So, once lifted in the air upside down, the extra slack and gravity came in handy as he uses his stronger right arm to pull it over his head. He then removes the buckles and the straps of the cuffs with his teeth. Once the cuffs were freed, he gets rid of the top, bottom, and his neck buckles. Once they were all undone, he finally slips his arms free and wiggles out of the jacket to amaze the huge crowd around. At number 6, the metamorphosis illusion. In this famous Houdini classic, his hands were tied behind him before being put into a small box that was then locked shut. Houdini's wife, Bess, would then stand atop the box and pull a curtain up to cover her from the view of the audience. However, when the curtain was dropped, she was no longer there, and instead, it was Houdini. Finally, the box was unlocked, but what do we see? Bess was found to be bound inside a sack inside the box. The entire illusion took only a few seconds to perform. So, how did Houdini magically exchange places? Well, this trick requires a lot of practice before the final execution, and since Houdini was a master on ropes and knots, he had practiced it a lot to unlock himself in a few seconds. Here, after Houdini goes inside that sack, he slipped his hands out of the knot, so his hands were free by the time the sack was pulled over his head. Also, the sack had 2 small openings the size of a person's eyes around the top edge of the sack. Now, the opening allowed Houdini to get hold of the rope from inside and pull it inside to loosen it. After Houdini goes inside the box, he quickly gets out of the sack while his wife Bess locks the box and then straps the box lid. Now, once Bess drew the curtain closed, Houdini escapes out of the box through a trapdoor panel built at the back of the box. At the same time, Bess goes inside the box through that back panel of the box. Meanwhile, the locks and straps are all intact. Finally, when Houdini unlocks and unstraps the box, his wife quickly goes inside the sack and bounds her wrists with the rope in just a few seconds. And this is how they magically exchanged places. At number 5, the Chinese water torture cell. The greatest and most sensational of all of Houdini's escapes was without a doubt his Chinese water torture cell. In this trick, Houdini was able to escape an extraordinary contraption resembling a fish tank. The tank is filled with water, while Houdini is placed head down in full view of the audience. But how did he escape in front of the audience with all the contraptions on his body? The assistants locked Houdini upside down with genuine locks, but what we missed was that they slid the pins out from the hinges which were holding the locks. Now this made it easier for the magician to escape. Also, the handcuffs are specially designed, which could easily get unlocked with just a little force. And finally, Houdini escaped out of this dangerous cell. At number 4, the underwater box escape. Another one of Houdini's most famous stunts was to escape from an underwater box. Here, Houdini was first locked in handcuffs and leg irons, then nailed into the box, which was roped and weighted down with 200 pounds of lead. The box was then lowered into the water. It was then pulled to the surface and found still to be intact with the handcuffs present inside. Magically, Houdini escaped in just 57 seconds. So, how did he do it? The secret lies in that specially designed box. Yes, the box had small holes in it which allowed Houdini to breathe inside the box while the box was nailed and locked shut. Also, the box had 4 boards on each side. Now, one of the sides, that is, the bottom side of the box, had a few boards which were not nailed to the box. They were only nail heads. So the 2 boards at its bottom side formed a hinged door, and it was secured by a latch. Also, Houdini had quickly removed the cuffs while the box was nailed shut. Once the box was in the water, he quickly opens up the hinged trap and escapes out. At number 3, walking through a brick wall. Harry Houdini, the greatest mystifier of magic, performed the astonishing illusion of passing through a brick wall in July 1914 in the city of New York. The trick was kept secret for a long time and was only performed by Houdini on a few rare occasions. In this trick, a brick wall was made on the center of the stage. Genuine audience were called upon the stage to test the brick wall for its authenticity and toughness. After the final test of the brick wall by the audience, screens were placed by Houdini's assistants on both sides of the wall. And now the magic begins before the audience. Houdini enters the screen on one side, passes through the wall, and shouts out loud, quoting, "Here I am," by raising his hands above the screen on the other side of the wall. The screen is then removed by his assistants, thus finally revealing Houdini to the audience. But how did he actually pass through the wall? Well, here's the secret. Houdini was the one who entered the screen on one side, but after a while, fake hands are made to rise up from the other side of the wall using ropes. Now, Houdini shouts and says, here I am," which makes the illusion that Houdini has indeed passed to the other side. But being on the same side, Houdini disguises himself as one of his assistants. Now, along with his assistants, he moves to the next side in disguise and gets behind the screen. Here, he undresses himself back to his original look and the screen is removed, thereby finally revealing Houdini to the audience. So this is how Houdini passes through the brick wall. At number 2, the milk can escape. Houdini, greatly known for his death-defying magic tricks, performed one of the greatest escape tricks in which he was sealed inside a milk can with handcuffs to restrict his movements. The trick was made famous as Magic Show, where failure meant death by drowning. So how did Houdini manage to escape from the can and even sustain inside the can for such a long time? When Houdini enters inside the can, some water is spilled out as to make some space for Houdini inside it. The cap of the milk can, as you can see, has a dome-shaped structure along with a small hole at the top that allows Houdini to get his head above water level and breathe whenever he needs to from inside. The cap of the can is indeed locked, but the real secret lies in the entire top part of the milk can, which can easily get opened from the inside. Yes, the top of the can is hard to open from the outside, but it's really easy for Houdini to open it from the inside. So to get out, Houdini easily separates the top part of the milk can and places it again, and finally, Houdini is revealed to the cheers of the audience. So finally, the great Houdini's last trick on our list, the magical fishbowl trick. In this trick, Houdini takes a piece of cloth and shows the audience that it's not a gimmick cloth and that there are no pockets inside it. And that's true, it's just a simple piece of cloth. He then makes some gestures and it looks like he's got something from the air, and then places it over the table covering using that piece of cloth. He removes the cloth covering and what we find inside is a fishbowl. To make this magic come alive, all the secret lies in the small table. As you can see, beneath the bowl is a duplicate tablecloth that is pulled upwards using drawstrings to hide the bowl. Above that, the fish bowl is already placed and covered with a tablecloth that covers the entire setup, and it looks like the table is empty and only a tablecloth is put over it. Now, to make this trick happen, Houdini covers the table with the piece of cloth that he first shows to the audience, and then simply takes off the above tablecloth that hides the fish bowl. He also loosens the drawstrings that makes the tablecloth below the bowl fall and make the same appearance as before. Houdini then wraps the tablecloth underneath the big piece of cloth he already had and finally throws it away without anyone noticing it. So guys, hope you got the secrets behind Houdini's greatest magic tricks. Which trick did you like the most? And name any other magic trick you would like us to reveal. Tell us in the comments below.